Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
About 15 seconds before we went live on the show, I figured that there wasn't a ton to talk about, and then we established that there's actually a lot to talk about. We have the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to Scott Rolen, but unfortunately, the players who didn't make it, as I feel like, as always, not every time, but most times, the conversation is about who didn't make it versus who did make it. So we can have a little conversation about the players who didn't make it. A monster free agent signing by the Oakland A's.
Lock it down.
The Twins and the Marlins pulled off a trade that I think surprised a lot of folks. The Angels are not getting sold. Mike Clevenger, lot going on there. So we've got plenty to talk about today. We've got plenty to talk about.
Some meat on that bone. There's some meat on that bone.
And Dallas,
talk to me.
We come to you with the Pittsburgh Pirates Mount Rushmore at the back end of this program.
That's right.
We're joined once again by Jay Hay. We've got Joey. There's Jake. Just a full fucking house.
Is it really? I feel like it was just a mere exercise, really, the Mount Rushmore. There's options, but
this
I feel
is
like
all I'll say. This is all I'll say. The debate is on the 4th spot. There's no debate for the first 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested. Okay. All right.
Joey, did you pick out your Mount Rushmore? Did you prepare?
Yeah, I got them all ready to go.
Okay. Ready to rock.
I picked 5. How about that?
Shit.
Well,
are you kidding?
Extra work.
That's a
that's. I don't know if we have enough real estate to chisel out another face there on that mountain.
Definitely can't.
Yeah, that's fine. I think there's a real healthy debate on 4.
What do you mean? Over in the first place.
I'm trying to make up because I didn't get to do the first 12.
Very much so.
Like I didn't get to do it, so
that's fair.
I get to pick 5 or 6 whenever I want.
That's fair. You know what? Fuck, I don't have the soundboard because I would have called Max for the Angels.
Oh, that hurts.
I could still call him and hold up my phone to the microphone, but that's not as fun.
No, it's not as fun. And I mean, if I just, we know we're going to get there. It's just a bunch of babbling. It's a bunch of this organization's fucking doomed. It's fucked. We're never going to go anywhere. We're never going to be anything until Artie sells the fucking team. But like and I'm not saying that fans that feel that way are wrong for feeling that way. I'm not saying that at all. I feel like we know the answers to the questions that we would be posing, right? Here's my question. And I think I know the answer to this, or I know my answer anyway. Shohei, gone. Yes or no? Now that Artie is like,
he was always gone. He was always gone. Even if they had new ownership, there wouldn't have been enough time to get new ownership in place to figure that out. I disagree. I disagree because if somebody comes into the building and lays out the red carpet again and shows how you are going to be the building block of this organization, and now the contract that we're going to lock you up to over the next decade plus, hopefully, has some outs there early on. So if we as a club aren't meeting the standard, if we're not putting our money where our mouth was in these initial conversations with you, Mr. Ohtani, telling you that you're going to be the foundation, if we're not doing our part like by year 3 and you're ready to cut bait and get the fuck out of there, well, then we're going to put that in place. We're going to allow you to make that decision because we want you. So if giving you the cards, giving you an extra ace in your deck is what we need to do, then that's what we're going to do. But I feel like there's an opportunity to make that happen because it's clean slate, and maybe Ohtani's on board with being the foundation guy. Maybe, Jared, maybe that doesn't mean a fucking thing to him, and he's like, I've come what I came to do. If you guys would have listened to Dallas, he told you what I came to do, and that was play alongside your best player in this game and show you just how fucking good and valuable I actually am, and now we'll let the bidding war commence. So that could have always been the game plan, which I told you I thought it was. So with the Angels' inability to do anything to support him and already have Mike Trout being vocal about needing reinforcements, yeah, I think Artie being there all but seals the deal on Ohtani being gone. Yeah, but don't you think that since we're talking about the first player in our sport whose contract more than likely will start with a 5. We're not even talking about a bidding war, because the dude is going to end up with $500 million regardless. So now he's just picking the organization that he feels like best gives him a chance to win multiple championships, which is obviously not the Angels. So whether Artie Moreno's there or a new owner is there, I don't see how the Angels would have come out on the winning side of any sort of Ohtani sweepstakes.
I don't know how any team necessarily does if they're thinking about this through a financial lens, which organizations always do. And Jared, though he is the type of talent that he is, that could very well scare a lot of teams away, a large number of teams away from even getting into that pool, right? Like, sorry, we can't even swim in that pool. We're not even trying to swim in that pool. We're good over here. Like, that pool is way too deep. We don't even have the money to even consider that. And how he plays out over the next 10 years, you're not talking about a guy who you can just stamp 10 years worth of production on both sides of the ball. That's not how this works. And everybody understands that. So you're kind of on guard when it comes to that. That's why his contract is going to look, I mean, I said this the minute that Julio signed, the minute that J-Rod signed, and there were so many caveats and so many like ins and outs and benchmarks. And I said, could you imagine what Ohtani's contract is going to look like when we're talking about? They're
going to have to make an Ohtani rule for luxury tax purposes, because if you think about it, his salary is for 2 players, but he counts as 1. So his average annual value, it's almost like it almost like hurts your team from like a luxury tax perspective to bring Shohei on, because say he makes $50 million a year, then it should be 2 guys at the AAV of 25 million, but it's just one dude 50, and
Jay, hey, you know what's weird to think about is if we can just almost land on and just almost assume that it's normal to think that Ohtani would be compensated at a high level for his offense and at a high level for his work on the mound, and just readily assuming like, well, what he's doing on the mound is worth 20 plus a year. What he's doing at the dish is worth 20 plus a year. If we can just assume that financially, how come that doesn't match up statistically? How come we can just understand a dude could be worth this on the hitter side of things a year, 20 plus, and on the mound, 20 plus, but then statistically you can have somebody who performs great on one side or the other, and it could be close. It could be close statistically.
What do you mean it doesn't? What do you mean statistically it doesn't work?
So like. I
mean, I know he's complicated things a little bit.
Sure.
But like
just taking Judge
to some degree of
just taking the Judge
pitching,
conversation.
Pitching wins above. Yeah.
Like how Aaron Judge does not spend any time on the mound, but when you take a combined WAR for Ohtani and compare it to Judge's singular offensive/defensive WAR. And again, we can get into how we understand the metrics are flawed and blah, 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 blah. I'm just saying very rough, very surface level. Like when you look at it and you think to yourself, well, naturally, we would all think that somebody like that gets paid double because he's doing it on both sides. But then statistically, that doesn't necessarily show up. His WAR, his wins above replacement, is not double that of Aaron Judge's.
No, but I think we should also like remember that the magnitude of Aaron Judge's offensive season was much greater than the magnitude of Shohei Ohtani. This is not
for sure.
This is not just the same offensive player, and one of them happens to be an ace as well. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
Aaron Judge, it was not just the home runs. He put up a statistically offensive season that was for the ages. So, like, I do think that factors in too. But there's no question that. I mean, I do think Ohtani is going to end up being paid like a guy who does 2 things at an elite level.
God, I can't wait. I just can't fucking wait.
Jared's right that 500 is in play.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And I'm gonna. I mean, I'm going to have to get extra homeowners insurance, extra fire insurance, because I am going to be starting a skin fire in every fucking room the minute that this dude signs. I mean, the breaded chicken titties are going to be flaming.
So you think it's a done deal? He'll make more than Judge?
I don't think, no, Joe, like I don't think I'm not as aggressive to think that it's going to be a 5 spot. And it's simply because I think there's a lot of teams who are going to hold the unknown of the future and try to leverage that against Ohtani and his camp, saying, that's great. You've done it for 2 years, a year and a half. Can we expect this for the net? You're telling us we can expect this for the next 10, and we're supposed to just sign up for that and not think that the wear and tear on you is going to be the same as a guy who just pitches or just hits. And that's where, and it's going to sound like we're just going back to the same spot, but that's where the precautions contractually come into place for the organizations. If you get hurt doing this, well, we know that you can't do that, right? If you get hurt swinging, well, that's going to effectively take you off the mound as well. Rotationally, like you're not going to be able to do those things. But as we saw, if it's an arm injury, maybe that doesn't prevent you from serving as the DH, which we have seen. So you're going to have to be really careful, and I'm sure they're going to cover all those bases when it comes to, all right, well, if your boy's not pitching, but he can still hit, what's he got to do to earn that cake? Well, if for some reason he can pitch, but he can't hit, what's he got to do to earn that cake? And that's where all the precautions are going to come in.
Yeah, dude. It's always a two-sided story because you could say like, oh, he plays both positions, so he's more likely to get hurt. But then you could also say it's like having DeGrom, who has an injury background, and you're nervous. You don't want to sign him to a long-term deal. But if DeGrom got hurt, he can still bat.
Right.
Like if Shohei fucks his arm up and he can still hit, at least you got half of Shohei, which is still one of the best hitters in the league. It's almost like a security blanket. But the thing I always say, being the Shohei expert I am.
Boom, Shohei. Talk to me, Shohei.
When we're talking numbers with Shohei, I don't think this guy gives a fuck about money like at all. Like he gave up like $200 million to come to the U.S. just 2 years early. Like he gave up so much money. Like I can see this being like a Bobby Bonilla or just deferred until forever or just take some crazy thing like that.
He might just turn heel, and this is where he says, no, sorry, it wasn't ever about the money early on, but now I've showed you what the fuck's up, and unless you come correct, it's nothing but the money. So either show me the money or show yourself out the fucking door.
That's not Shohei, though. Like
don't do that, dude.
The motherfucker mapped out at like 12 years old what his entire life was going to be like, and all of it included personal accolades and championships. Dude wants to win Cy Young Awards, MVPs, and World Series titles and throw no-hitters in perfect games. Like that's what he told you he wanted to do. So yeah, I think, but for him, especially because the Japanese culture being like a big on like respect and everything. I mean, it was the same thing with Pedro. It was, it wasn't necessarily about the money. It was about the respect. What are other guys making? What am I worth relative to what they make? And when you talk about a guy like Shohei Ohtani, the number would have to start with the 5. Like that's just where the market is, and we've just never seen a player like him before hit free agency. But I'm curious because we've had this conversation before. I think maybe it'll shift over time. But Jay, I'm curious, where do you think Shohei ultimately lands up? Where will his baseball home be? What cap will he wear into the Hall of Fame?
Selfishly, I'm very into the rumors that Steve Cohen has already talked to Mets executives about coming and going and getting Shohei Ohtani, because that would allow me direct access to going to watch him play, which, I mean,
it's a fucking treat, bud.
And it would also put him on a contender. So it's not completely selfish, or a team that's going to be spending and investing like a contender, you would think. So I would love to see him on the Mets. I think that would be great.
Oh my
God. To go see Shohei live and in person.
I'd shoot myself in the face, bro.
I think old Dylan DePoto might be angling, might be maneuvering to see if they can't reel that big fish in.
Didn't you hear? Did you hear the rumor about the Japanese billionaire that wanted to buy the Angels to keep Shohei there?
To keep him in LA?
Yeah.
The guy who owns the LA Times? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know. I don't know who it was. It was like first it started as like a Reddit rumor, and then I think Rosenthal wrote about it or hinted at it. And there was just some Japanese billionaire, like the Japanese Steve Cohen, wanted to buy the Angels and keep Shohei in Anaheim.
That's what we need. We need another guy, another owner with fuck you money, whoever, and just we need that person.
Someone who loves baseball to own a baseball team would be nice.
It's not. You can't buy
That's
Shohei.
great for the long-term vision for the Angels. That does not help Shohei Ohtani because, again, by the time an owner who like wants to invest like crazy and spend like crazy and redo the farm system and do the right stuff, like
he's gone.
It's come and gone for Shohei.
We've already watched it with Trout. Like let's just think about this, boys. Think about this. We've been doing this. Hey, Jared, we've been together for 5-6 years plus, right? And we've been talking about that window of
this is our
Trout's
7th season coming up.
Career 7th season. So that window, we're now on the other side of the window we were talking about once before with Trout, going, man, the window's open right now. Would love to see them capitalize. Well, now we're on the other side of that. We're on the other side of that. And what's to say, what proof do we have that's going to change or that's not going to be the same? And this is where it gets interesting, because it's not to say that the Angels, it's for a lack of effort. It's sometimes misguided, right? Sometimes it feels like they've been the ship on the river that has come to the fork in the river, and they've been given the map that says, go this way. If you go that way, it's going to be a waterfall and you're going to be fucked. Don't do that. Don't sign the guy to a decade plus after you probably know the first decade was the best you were going to get. And then when you need pitching, I would maybe avoid going and getting the injury-prone third baseman. These are just things that we could maybe steer ourselves around. And but it's not for a lack of spending, because they've written the checks. They've just written them at the wrong places, at the wrong times.
We don't talk enough about how catastrophically terrible that Rendon contract has gone.
Well,
I don't care that he got paid his money. Like, good for him.
I talked about,
oh my God.
Since you've been gone, like,
since you've been gone,
the Rendon contract to me has been Eric Hosmer to you.
Well, yeah, and we've put we've got it aging worse than the Pujols deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, honestly, maybe. Maybe we're not off to a good start.
No, it's not.
He's still top 5 in average annual value in baseball, I'm pretty sure.
Sure. And this isn't a knock on Rendon. This isn't a Rendon
hate
party.
It is.
Well, for you,
but it's relevant to the conversation, because when you invest that level of money and you have they've existed in sort of a stars and scrubs lineup approach for quite a while now, right? Either intentionally or unintentionally, but that's where they've ended up. And when you take that big of a swing and not just miss, but completely and utterly whiff, that really does matter for the ability to capitalize on the primes of Trout and Ohtani, which is the whole point of this conversation.
Quick thoughts on the Angels drafting all pitchers 3 years ago, because we didn't have you for that, and I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of that. but it's shit like that, it's shit like that. And look, I was one of the people who said, Jay, I was like, you know what? Fucking good for them, because they weren't going to be able to wake up and not hear that they need to do something about reinforcing the mound and options on the mound all throughout the minor league system. They were not going to be able to wake up another day if they didn't take 19 out of the 20 picks they might have had available, whatever the fuck it was. I think there was 23 rounds or whatever. They took 23 fucking pitchers. I don't know how many it was, but it was but stuff like that. That's not necessarily misguided, but that's them just saying, all right, fine, fuck, we will shift all of the focus, every bit of the focus right here. And while it's understandable, maybe a little misguided. And so
it's fine. Wake me up in 6 years when one of those guys has pitched in the big leagues.
And,
it just
that right there is
not going to help Ohtani or Trout.
And again, so leading us all back to that and putting a bow on it to what you just said, call you in 5 or 6 years. That's the question that Ohtani has to be asking himself. Do I want to wait 5 or 6 years for that phone call, or do I want to have the phone call inviting me to the postseason fucking now? Hang with him, Artie. Hang with him.
That's the end of the Shohei Ohtani era in Anaheim as we know it. But we get some more baseball news to talk to. Before we do that, 4 NFL teams remaining. Dallas.
Fuck off.
2 conference championship games. And only a few more shots to win big on the playoffs with DraftKings.
Cowboys got fucked.
An official sports betting partner of the NFL. Oh, the Cowboys lost?
We got fucked is what happened, Jared. We got completely and utterly fucked.
That's my according to my Twitter timeline, because I don't have cable yet. I didn't watch the game. It looks like Dak Prescott sucks.
It looks like George Kittle got away with an illegal man downfield. Should have been flagged. Or illegal receiver. Yeah, that didn't fucking happen. Tripping. There's just all kind of egregious shit that went down that wasn't called. Fucking
I saw your tweet.
Dirty shit.
Yeah. Counting down to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. If you're not a new customer, you can feel the conference championship thrills with stepped up same game parlays. Take your shot at an even bigger NFL payout and boost your winnings with each leg. You add up to 100%. Dallas, who do you like coming out of the NFC? Is it them Cowboys?
You kiss my fucking ass.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code Jared, Jared. New customers can bet just $5 on conference championships and get $200 in free bets instantly only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code Jared. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes for details, and go Cowboys!
Unfucking necessary. What are you laughing at, Joe? Sitting over there in the witness protection program, you son of a bitch.
Cowgirls lose again.
Damn.
Completely fucked. I hate to say it, but I think it's the end of the Dak era. I mean, I don't necessarily hate to say it.
What? They're going to trade him?
No, well, look, it's just I don't know that he is.
You going to release him?
Fuck, man, he's just not the answer. He's just not the answer. And I really
Does he make like
him
$40 million a year? What's his salary?
I really wanted him to be. It's north of 25. I really wanted him to be.
We'll trade you Carson Wentz.
I'm out on that. I mean,
Oh my God.
What?
His salary, he has an average annual salary of $40 million.
Yeah, he gets breaded.
Damn.
I mean, he's a player. He's just, God, man.
4 years, 160?
It's the crucial pick. He's just.
Oh my God.
Just almost always going to throw that crucial pick. Not even almost always. It's been that way. It's fucking heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
Damn.
The defense played more than well enough to win that game. More than well enough to win that game. Locked up Debo for a decent lay. They took care of Christian McCaffrey. They took care of Ayuk. They did their job. They did their fucking job.
Jay, hey, you got a favorite football team?
He's a Commanders guy.
No. I like the Eagles. I mean, that's where I grew up. That's where most of my friends are. But I don't live and die. But it is nice that they're in the Final Four. You know, It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Repping the NFC East.
Yeah, you care.
Somebody's got to do it.
Cowboys
had a chance. They didn't do it though. I guess
somebody's got to do it.
That's what I heard. I didn't watch the game.
The Twins are doing it. The Twins are a late entrant for just like, hey, we're here. We're going to actually have ourselves a big offseason. I don't know what the Marlins were doing here in this particular trade.
Just this one.
Just this one in particular. What's that website, the trade website where you can, it's like it shows you all the trade pieces and it weighs them. The scales were very much tipped in the Miami, what the fuck are you doing side of town.
Jared?
My mic went out?
Yeah.
There you go. Now you're back.
Jesus Christ. Bad trade for Miami.
Why don't we like the trade for Miami?
It's just it's very, I don't want to say one-sided, but it's not very even.
To me it's less about like maybe disliking it for Miami and more about like disliking their whole direction and philosophy. Because, like, I just don't think I would be trading pitching to supplement an offense with Luis Arias that's like 5 or 6 offensive pieces away. And, like, for the Twins, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it's just like roster reallocation for the Twins. Like, they needed pitching.
Well, for the Twins, they're bringing in, obviously, a very viable arm. And I understand what you're saying. To your point, like, is this a starting point for the Marlins? Bringing in Arias like that? No. Contact guy, great. Who do they have behind?
That's like a sell high. That's like this dude burst onto the scene and had an outstanding year, but can you repeat it? I don't know. You figure it out.
Well, it's not about can you repeat it. I think it's a matter of sell high. Team was interested, and to Jay Hayes' point, where are you going as a club? And what about this move? What are you telling? And it's not like they're sending a message to anybody, but what does this move tell you as a fan base? What does this move tell you as a clubhouse? We're like, what's the message behind this move? Right? Because if it's understood that you need help on the mound, well, moving old Pablo would not necessarily be the first decision you think would come to mind.
No, but that's the only thing they don't need help in is their starting pitchers.
Yeah, they've got guys.
But if that's your cornerstone, if that's how you win ball games, if that's the recipe to your success, is moving a guy like Pablo and bringing in Arias, again, like we said, circling back to Jay Hay, who is now just a piece in a puzzle that is probably missing 4, 5, maybe 6 other pieces before the picture even starts to take place. What's the end game here?
Well, I mean, to the point about could they be 5 or 6 pieces away offensively, the Marlins are dealing from a surplus. I mean, God knows what the fuck like Sixto Sanchez is going to be somewhere down the line, but he showed in 2020 he could be a stud. We all know what Sandy Alcantara can be. Edward Cabrera, the guy that doesn't get talked about in the Marlins rotation, guy is a fucking filth factory. So if they're dealing from a position of strength to bolster something that they feel like maybe needs to, that needs a major overhaul, then I get it. I get it from Miami's standpoint. But to the point about, what is their strength? How do they win baseball games? It's by having a sick rotation. Well, now you just made it a little bit weaker to make you made it significantly weaker to make your offense a little bit better.
Yeah, a little, and this is where, you say, okay, yeah, they've got arms, but the arms that they have, I mean, you're talking about, okay, Sandy at the tip of the spear, and then Luzardo, right? He's going to need to take a big step because I think it's time.
He's not even a name that would come up when you're talking about the arms.
I know, but he's a guy that's penciled into this rotation. So when we're talking about dealing from a surplus, maybe on paper, you might see depth, but these are guys who have to swim now. They have to. They can't afford to just
he just moved up a slot
and get back to the fucking edge. No, you gotta be out there treading water now. I need you fucking egg beaten for minutes on end here. So him and then the lefty Rogers.
Yeah.
So these are guys. Yeah, you're gonna need that growth. That growth has to come now. And offensively, I mean, shit. Soler,
baby.
Garcia.
We're just not talking about a playoff team. What was that fucking tier thing that came out today? I think they put them in like a fringe category. It was like, these are the playoff teams. These are the established teams. These are the teams that are bad. These are the teams. Like, I think the A's are at the very bottom.
Well, we're talking about the Marlins.
Oh,
this is a
Marlins. I know, but I'm just for perspective here. Where I'll find it, but I'm pretty sure the Marlins were at least somewhat respected in this.
I'd have to dive into some of the to the rate numbers here, but like taking a look at some of the contact numbers and stuff. Does it feel like the Marlins are trying to put together a club that's going to put the ball in play more?
Yeah.
Rise, Segura. I mean,
yeah.
A couple of guys at the top. Joey Wendell. He's down there at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And they got Johnny Cueto, dude. That was amazing. Just the press conference. Any other team signs Johnny Cueto, no one even talks.
No one bats an eye. But he comes out of center field with the fucking DR flag on his back.
They're doing promos on social media, dude.
Solid.
Making freaking TikToks with him, like the star player coming in.
Solid.
Culture change. Johnny Cueto, man. That guy is a legend.
Gonna be great. Gonna be great.
Why can't I find this fucking thing? I give up. But they gave respect to the Marlins. Jay, hey, do you have any respect for the Marlins?
Oh, no, I mean, not after 97. How could I have respect for the...
That's true.
I can't be... Cannot be abiding by the Marlins. I mean, it would... I don't know. It's lame that they've got 2 titles. They're kind of... this deal, whatever. I don't think this makes them like significantly worse. I just don't think it makes them significantly better. And if I was going to deal Pablo Lopez, which I think is a decent idea to begin with, I just would have targeted like more upside and more youth and more prospect oriented packages as opposed to somebody who can plug into my lineup right now because this lineup stinks.
Yeah. Well, didn't they give away prospects, the Marlins?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yes. Makes it even more confusing. I will say, like, I like the move for the Twins, but I'm not totally sure what level of pitcher Pablo Lopez really is. Because like he feels like he's a guy who's sort of faded in the second half, and like that was definitely true last year. 1.83 ERA through May, and then 4.69 ERA over his final 121 innings. So, like, I think he's good, but I think he's more of like a high threes ERA type of guy.
Sure. Well, last year was his.
But I would definitely rather have him, and just looking at the Twins depth chart and what they were faced with, like I'd rather have him and like a slightly larger share of some combination of like Kirilloff and Gallo and Miranda and I guess Nick Gordon instead of the alternative and Lopez as opposed to the alternative of like Arias and like more of Winder and Ober in the rotation. Like I think this makes the team better overall.
Well, and to Lopez's defense though, last year was his bulk year. That was the biggest
for the Marlins, who cares?
Of his young career. So he threw 70 more innings, I think, than he had thrown ever. Made all 32 starts. So though he tapered off, you could also look at that as a building block. Like, all right, this is where he's really starting to figure out who he is. And though it was maybe a little rougher on the back end of the season, he was in territory that he'd never pitched in before. So he was just kind of learning on the fly. And now maybe this second time around, making 30 plus starts, things are a little better second half. Glass half full.
I'll take it. So what do we grade the trade?
I don't know. I feel like it's got to be a B plus.
I would say like B plus for the Twins.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
C minus.
Yeah. Not
for the Marlins.
Not great for the Fish.
Maybe D plus. He's not a bad player. They got a good player.
Yeah.
How long is he under contract for?
That's what I was just going to say. What's the controllability looking like for Arias?
He's got a little over 3 years of MLB service time, and I don't think he's on any sort of extension.
So then he'll have 3 years. So they got him for 3 more, yeah, right?
Yeah. So I think they've got him for like 3 full seasons under contract.
Yeah,
which would be nice. But I don't think they gained really any significant service time in the swap.
He's got 24 and 25. So he's a free agent after 25. They've got him for 3 more years.
3 more years.
Yeah. There you go. You just got yourself a batting champ.
Yeah. Yeah, that still has value, right?
Yeah. And it's not like we're just penciling him in.
It's better than having traded like your primary pitching trade chip for like a pending free agent. That would be an F trade.
Yeah. And I'm just interested to see how the shift in, I know a lot of people think it's going to be of little consequence, but guys who put the ball in play, they're going to be looking at a completely different field at times this season. I think that's going to be fun.
Yeah. Congratulations to Scott Rolen, elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. What is that? That's 2 elections in the last 3 years.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Like the voters like putting guys through? Didn't we have an empty class?
Yeah, we did have an empty class 2 years ago, right?
Something like that. Todd Helton just missed 72.2% of the vote. He'll probably get in next year. Beltran debuted on the ballot with 46%. Billy Wagner, big jump for him. I don't know where you guys fall on that, but I would have voted for Billy Wagner.
Got it.
But yeah, I was surprised. I was very surprised that Helton didn't get in this year. It felt like he was on pace to get in this year. It felt like that was going to be a 2-man class, especially because I think I looked at the Not Mr. Tibbs chart, and it looked like the only guys that were over the 75% going into the day of the announcement were Todd Helton and Scott Rolen. That obviously means that, you know, that there has to be the non-public ballots, the pussy ass writers that won't put their name next to their ballot. But congratulations, Scott Rolen. I mean, by the way, I think I saw something today in comparison with Todd Helton not getting in, because everyone, Coors Field, this and that. Todd Helton had a higher weighted runs created plus on the road than Scott Rolen did. So,
wait,
but he'll get in next year. Todd Helton had a better weighted runs created plus on the road than Scott Rolen did.
How many Gold Gloves do you win, Jared?
Probably a lot.
You don't know anything about defense.
You don't even need fancy stats for his road stats. Like he slashed, it was an 855 OPS career on the road. And that sort of gap is not really all that odd home road gap. Like there are plenty of people who've played outside of Coors who have had 200 or 150 point OPS splits between their home and road. I think he's a clear-cut Hall of Famer. And I think you're right that he will get in. I mean, he slashed... He had like a 1,040 OPS over an 8-year stretch.
He's definitely getting in.
I don't really care where you play.
He has 5 more cracks at it, and he's at 72.2. Like, he's getting in next year. I don't know that, like, has anyone ever cracked 70 and not gotten in?
I don't believe so, and I don't think anybody who's debuted with 45 or higher even has never eventually gotten into.
Yeah.
So... even like Beltran's showing, I know it's a complicated situation, but you would think he will eventually get in also, if history provides any guide.
Yeah. Andrew Jones is now up to 58.1%, but he's in his 6th year. So that might be cutting it close.
Get him in there.
He's got to go. Billy Wagner in his 8th year is up to 68.1%. Gary Sheffield in his 9th year, 55%. I don't think he's gonna gain 20% of the vote in 1 year, unfortunately. Beltran, 46.5. Jeff Kent now off the ballot in his 10th and final year.
That sucks.
10th and final year, 46.5% of the vote.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Most home runs ever by a second baseman, I believe.
He's a Hall of Famer.
A-Rod, 35.7. Manny, 33.2. That's pretty much where it cuts off. I know that some people have their thoughts about Pettit, Vizquel, Abreu, guys like that. But yeah, Todd Helton's probably...
A-Rod's got the broadcasting Hall of Fame to look forward to.
Yeah, A-Rod's never getting in. Never.
Hey, what were can anybody look up my numbers against Scott Rolen?
You faced him? Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, no damage, Jared. No damage.
What is the consensus on Rolen's candidacy from this podcast?
I would have voted for him. Did you see Hall of Very Good was trending on Twitter after Rolen got in?
Yeah, bro.
See,
people love saying that.
That's the thing. Like, what'd you say, Joey?
Everyone loves saying that. That shit's annoying. That's just a stupid term. I don't even know. It's just that people say that too much.
Well, it's not fucking accurate as it relates to Scott Rolen either. Like, I think people really honestly overestimate the number of Hall of Fame caliber players that exist throughout history at each position or over like a multi-decade stretch.
Right,
like, if it doesn't really matter what stat you use, but if I used Baseball Reference WAR, but Rolen is comfortably one of the 10 greatest third basemen
ever to
play in the last 75 years of baseball.
Yeah.
So
what do you mean no damage, Dallas? He was 4 for 9 with 2 doubles against you.
Buddy.
Yeah, I mean, we could have all guessed it was about 5.
Yeah, no damage. He probably fucking hit 2 rockets off the wall.
Couldn't get it out of the fucking park. No, and they got it fucking
playing in any other stadium. It would have blistered the pavement outside of the stadium.
Oddly enough, we had guys shifted over to the right because they just knew, I'm fishing him away. He's going to making him go the other way.
Yeah,
just fucking hook down the line.
But seriously, I'd love to ask the people that are pushing Hall of Very Good for Rolen, how many third basemen in like modern baseball history they think are better than Scott Rolen.
Isn't third base like the position with the least amount of players in the Hall of Fame?
Least amount of players.
Yes, it's traditionally underrepresented, and that was a big part of Ron Santos' candidacy too. Is that like, yeah, he should be in, and also third base is like severely underrepresented historically. Like, no, Scott Rolen's not Mike Schmidt, but he's the greatest fucking third baseman ever. He's like that. That just can't be the standard in everybody's head. And he's not Beltre either, but that's basically a quantity issue. Like Scott Rolen on a per game basis was every bit the ball player that Adrian Beltre was. Beltre just played longer, which matters. And that's why Beltre is greater. And we'll get into the Hall of Fame more easily. But Scott Rolen's a Hall of Famer, no question about it.
Yeah.
I think.
Brooks Robinson, the cream of the crop.
Chipper.
I don't know. I never saw him. It's tough to know. Like defensively, you're saying?
Just in general, in that conversation, because we're talking about.
He's definitely one of those 10 guys for sure. I think Mike Schmidt is comfortably the greatest third baseman in baseball history.
Where's Chipper in that conversation, Porter?
So I was about to say,
come on, man,
right in there,
no Chipper,
right in the thick of that, 5'6", 4 or 5'6" stretch. I would guess.
I got Larry a little closer to the top. That's all right.
To number one?
Yeah, why not?
How many? I'm just asking, like, are you putting him ahead of George Brett?
Possibly.
You putting him ahead of Eddie Matthews?
I don't know. I didn't see him play.
I know it's tough. It's tough to grade those guys. Are you putting him ahead of Wade Boggs?
I mean, the fucking. I think the beer story has to carry some weight. Got to
carry some
here.
weight, right?
Yeah.
Chipper never drank beers now? That's what we're saying now?
He didn't drink a fucking keg on an hour flight.
Because he keeps it low key, bro.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Well, Scott Rolen, more than deserving. And I think what's also cool about it is he played like just the right amount of time for 2 teams, 3 teams. Like it wasn't just a smattering of teams towards the end of his career. There's a large chunk where the Philly faithful rally around him, right? And there's a large chunk where the Cardinal faithful rally around him. And then, all right, sure, he made a stop in Toronto. But then 4 years in Cincinnati to finish it off?
Yeah, it was all-star in Cincinnati.
Well, and so what I was getting ready to say, Joe, was it feels like he was every bit the player that he was towards the end of his career that he was early and maybe even in the middle. And sure, you got your peak years where you're just balling out and everything is clicking and some things take a back seat later. But I mean, in 2010, the guy's putting up close to a career best OPS, right? It's right along those lines of the numbers that he's been putting up in his prime. 890s, 900s. I mean, he's at an 850 something OPS 2010 all-star year. 2 years later, he would retire.
Bro.
Well, I think that also speaks to like why he's a little bit of a difficult candidacy for some people to grasp, because it's not a linear career. It's not a guy who like crested and had this uninterrupted peak and then he got a little bit older and steadily declined. Like he missed some decent time. Like he missed a lot of time. In his age 24 season, he missed a lot of time in his age 30 season. Like there was parts of his peak that he missed, but he also, to your point, was a really effective player late into his 30s. So, sometimes that's not the story arc that people are expecting.
No, yeah, and it helps. It's not a compilation thing, but being a really good, well above average ball player for that period of time, like there's so much. I've never understood the compiler argument, because you have to be that good in order to be around that long. And I get that there's some nuance to that to an extent, but to be that good and frankly that much better than your counterparts for that long of a period of time, that in itself is Hall of Fame caliber, if that makes sense.
Let me ask you guys this question. Was Andrew Jones, because Andrew Jones, I feel like, is, I don't want to say held out of the Hall of Fame, because I think he still has a legitimate chance and I think he could eventually get in. But the fact that Andrew Jones more or less peaked by his early 30s, and not just peaked, but was done in terms of being a productive Hall of Fame caliber player. The fact that he played beyond his peak years and he was sort of a compiler in his 30s versus coming up at the age of 19, and he had a Hall of Fame 12 years. Did it hurt him that he continued to play? If Andrew Jones had retired because of a serious injury at the age of 32, is his Hall of Fame case much stronger? Because I feel like if you look at those first 10 years or so of his career, he's a no ballot Hall of Fame player. I don't know. Once you got to like 2005, I think maybe there's sort of like this huge drop off in his later years, and he doesn't get the credit that he deserves as a Hall of Famer.
Well, exactly. He hit what was it? It was 2 years in a row where he hit 50, or like he hit 50 and then almost hit 50 or hit 40 and then almost hit 30. It was like 50, 40, 30. And then from there, gone, disappeared. So
that's what happens.
Yeah. Think like from 96 to 06, over that decade, you're talking 300 plus home runs, almost 350 homers, right? Over 1,000 RBIs. OPS sitting at 850. So the numbers, just some of the counting, those are there. And I feel like if you put together that body of work early, I don't know how still playing can hurt you. That's where like I'm having a tough time. Like I know what you're saying. I'm hearing the words, but are you hearing the words too? He's still playing and he's still hitting homers. He's not hitting 40 a year. He's not hitting even 20 a year anymore. But somebody's still paying this man to play baseball. Mm-hmm. So any numbers he's accumulating at that point in time, how can we hold those in any way against these players? How?
I mean, it's not a perfect comparison, but like a guy like Sandy Koufax, where it's like, yeah, no shit, he was a fucking Hall of Famer. Yeah, he didn't play as long of a career as I'm sure he would have liked to or wanted to, but I mean, the years that he did play, no doubt Hall of Famer. If Andrew Jones retires at the age of 32, everyone's like, yeah, same thing. I mean, look at the numbers. Look at what he accomplished. We're talking about one of the best, if not the best defensive center fielder who's ever lived. Yeah, that guy's a Hall of Famer. But because he continued to play, there's more years to analyze, and I feel like that's what's taking so long in the process of getting him in. I don't know. I just feel like
I think people are having a hard time reconciling the fact that he was a Hall of Fame player who did what he did as well as anybody that we've ever seen do it, and then was just like some of these years they look okay statistically, but like he was getting 200 plate appearances and like he was being platooned and like whatever. It's like you don't see drop offs this quickly unless it is like catastrophically injury related, which would apply to somebody like Koufax. But like, it's just a very hard career to reconcile. I think he's got a very legitimate Hall of Fame case. It's just a very unique.
He's a very unique player. I will always putting things in perspective. I remember when he was in Texas, and oddly enough, he's on first base. I probably walked him. He didn't. I probably just no hits, no damage against Andrew Jones, no damage. But I picked off. I was trying to pick him off, and I snap picked over there, and he got back because he was maybe a step and a half off the bag, and he got back and looked over at me, and looked into the dugout, and they were like, "We told you, like he's gonna fuck with you." So he did not even step off the bag after that. He just stood on first base, didn't get a lead, didn't get off the bag at all, and I just remember thinking to myself, like, dude. That's fucking Andrew Jones over there. Like, it's not like he's a threat to run. Okay. Like, don't get excited, but he's just not even coming off the bag right now. Like, this is fucking great. Like, this is the dude you were watching pump homers out in the World Series at fucking 19 years old, making stupid catches. Like, I remember losing my shit in my neighbor's apartment watching those games. And now here this fucking dude is, this legend. And like, I had it in my head then, this guy's a Hall of Famer. Like, I'm facing a Hall of Famer.
It's a Hall of Fame move.
And
not taking a lead.
Just not at all. They're just standing 2 feet on the back. Both feet standing on the back. It's fucking hilarious. But like, just
the good news is that you only gave up 3 hits to him all time.
Yeah, see? Boom. What'd I tell you? How many times I faced him?
A double and a homer, 2 walks, and 11 at bats.
What, a double and a homer?
Double and a homer and 2 walks.
Fuck, you got me? Damn.
No damage.
We could probably
Damn.
Could probably name any player.
That's not fucking true. That's not true.
Not fucking true.
Well, Andrew Jones's career is just a warning signal. If you want to leave the Braves, go ahead. You'll suck. You're going to suck as soon as you leave. And you're not going to make the Hall of Fame because you left the Braves.
Can anybody confirm if Andrew Jones started a family the year that he left Atlanta?
Drew Jones is what? He's 18. 19?
Probably 18.
Meaning he was born in 2004? That's about when it took a turn for the worse there.
Wow. Oh, this is 2 best years. You know what? Can you confirm this, Shohei? I was looking at this the other day. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look now. But Scott Rolen never led the league in anything ever.
What about Hart? I know reference doesn't include that.
I know. Well, you can't.
Did he ever finish top 10 in an MVP?
That's true. He never. He has no bold or italic numbers. He did win a Rookie of the Year. That's not really leading in anything, but
that counts.
No, it's true. It's true.
Thought so.
Did have 9.2 WAR in 2004. I wonder who was better then. Let's find out.
9 WAR season in 04.
Oh, of course.
He was on the team with Pujols and Edmonds.
What a dumb fucking question.
Yeah. I thought you were joking.
Barry Bonds is the answer.
Who's better in the National League?
Scott Rolen.
Oh, that was his year. That was 232 walks. Never mind. Yeah. That'll do it.
Scott Rolen was Rookie of the Year. His highest MVP finish was 4th.
You know what? That's a fun thing. Over the course of Andrew Jones's 17-year career, he was intentionally walked 69 times.
Oh. Yeah.
It's just so fucking incredible. And it's just so incredible.
Scott
Wrap
Rolen
your head
never
around
led the league
that.
in
69 times. Andrew Jones intentionally walked 69 times over a 17 17-year big league career. 17 years. This man hit in the middle of the order for a large portion of that 17-year career, right? A feared run producer. 69 times over that 17 years, they said, nope, just take first base. 69 times. Barry Bonds was issued first base 120 fucking times intentionally in 2004.
And he was what, 39?
No,
in 2004 he would have been 36.
No, Barry was
39.
38 or 39, yeah.
No.
I promise you.
Not in 2004, no.
Barry Bonds?
39.
Jared, he retired at 42. Yes, he retired at 42 in 2007. Right?
Barry Bonds has almost exactly 10 times the number of career intentional walks as Andrew Jones. 688.
Like, I'm going to get those two numbers tattooed on me and just with the, IYK. Like, if you know, you know. 232 120. If you know,
it's good you're married already. I don't think that one's opening up any new paths for you. Oh, it's the number of intentional walks of both Andrew Jones and Barry Bonds. Don't you get?
But could you imagine the O face? Could you imagine her O face during that? Oh my God! Talk dirty to me. Talk dirty. OPS plus.
Some of the first ballot guys next year. First ballot Hall of Famer, Adrian Beltre.
Book it.
They can't fuck that one up. Joe Mauer.
They will fuck
borderline. I think he's going to hang around on the ballot for a little bit, but I mean.
Nice pick, Mauer.
Chase Utley has a very interesting Hall of Fame case.
I'm going to say he's in
on that one.
Knee jerk. He's in.
David Wright. No, but he's the Hall of Very Good.
Joe. Oh wow, Joey's just ready to jump through the fucking screen right now.
You think David Wright's a Hall of Famer over there, Joe?
No, man.
Okay.
No,
listen, I'll be honest. I'm not like the Hall of Fame guru. I don't know what that says about me, but I've never been like into the Hall of Fame. I think it's a great museum, but but looking at Scott Rolen's numbers just now compared to David Wright, and because the people were saying that today, if Scott Rolen gets in, David Wright's in, but he's like 20 less WAR than him.
Yes, that's not the truth.
It's a very imperfect comparison. Bartolo Colon.
Let's go.
No, but thanks for the memories.
That's it. I mean, it's those will be the guys that we discuss: Adrian Beltre, Joe Mauer, Chase Utley, and David Wright. But it's just Beltre, Mauer, and Utley.
Yeah, that's an interesting class to debate, though, because Beltre's in for sure, and I think those other guys have really interesting candidacies.
I think Utley's got the strongest candidacy outside of Beltre.
That's correct.
I agree.
Yeah, I think and I'm going to tell like Utley as far as his standing within the game and players that he played with and against, and like that. Like if it was ever a veterans committee decision or whatever, like if it's a judgment of his peers, he's getting a jacket.
That'll be a fun.
I do wonder if it comes to that though, because I mean his case is almost completely reliant on peak.
Well, peak. I mean,
he's got some decent longevity, but like he's really a Hall of Fame player on the basis of 2005 through 2009, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. So I mean, does that hurt him? Does that hurt him, Jay? Because we're like, we've kind of whittled it down from like that 10-year window to the 7-year peak to. Because is Utley strong enough? Is the argument strong enough over that 5-year window? Because it was a great run. What was that like?
I personally think that it is. I think he was one of the 3 or 4 greatest position players in the game during that 5 or 6 year run, and that to me, coupled with like they're not zero contributions outside of that 5 years. I think when you produce a peak like that, I do think you're more likely than not Hall of Fame worthy. What hurts him more than or equally as much from the fact that he fell off a little early is the fact that he got started late. Like, he did not debut until he was in his age 24 season. That's a really hard thing to overcome when we're talking about making the Hall of Fame. Most of those guys debut at age 21, 22, 23.
Trust me,
debuting at 24, making the Hall of Fame is hard.
Jay, I knew it, man. The minute I broke in, I knew it. It was like, yo, this is going to be fucking uphill, kid. But, you know, this is
totally. I knew it too when you broke in. I was like, this is never going to happen. No chance. I may podcast with this guy in a couple of years. That's about this.
I was like, God damn it. I'm not going to be one of these Hall of Very Good Statistics. It's not going to fucking happen.
No, don't worry.
It didn't.
Apparently,
Whatever,
you can still be Hall of Very Good and get in anyway, though.
No, I'm not getting into the Hall of Very Good. I'm getting into the Hall of... He played too.
You got your laminated card. You can get in for free.
Buddy, yeah, fuck. Hey, let's just remember, at all you fucking assholes filling up these squares right now, there's only one of us that's in the Hall of Fame.
Mm.
I think Joey's point's fair, though. For as frustrating as the process and the conversation around the Hall of Fame is, enjoyable museum experience.
It's great.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to me to have the stories told. To have the stories told. Because I truly believe if you find your way to the Village in upstate New York and you go into that museum, baseball has been a part of your life or has played a role in your life bigger than probably most of your friends, which means you're probably with somebody who could be trusted to tell the story of the game. Now, it might be biased. There might be some heavy opinions that support the story you're hearing, but nonetheless, you're going to get it, for better or worse, a pretty decent education on the game. And that's where I think the museum has to continue to do its part, is let those folks tell little Timmy and little Tammy, why this guy is or isn't up for babysitter of the year. But let's talk about the role in the game. Let's talk about the good and the bad, because that matters. And much like history in our world, in the civilian world, if you will, you can learn from mistakes. So let's talk about it.
Here's also one thing I'll say about the Hall of Fame. When you go to the Hall of Fame, they have the Hall of Fame with all the plaques. It's the fucking most boring part of the fucking Hall of Fame. No one wants to see that shit. Everyone's face on there. It's like you're there, you look around for like 2 minutes. Okay, cool, got it. Cool. You don't even know 70% of them. And then you get to the cool part and you see fucking Dallas Braden's jersey and
boom, baby.
You see every player, all these guys. And that's the real cool part of the Hall of Fame. It's not about getting in, dude. It's just about, I don't know, going viral. I don't know.
It's about doing cool shit.
Not get in now.
Yeah. It's better to not get in and have all like the nerds on Twitter crying for your case to get in than just being a first ballot Hall of Famer. Everyone's like, oh yeah, cool, yeah. But just having the baseball nerds just go absolutely berserk for your case and have people agree with them, that's where the juice is at.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's been
I mean, it is nice. Did you see the video of Scott Rolen with his parents? That was kind of nice.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying to think of like who had the biggest like groundswell of support to finally get in.
I think Tim Raines thanking
I was just gonna say
the ace of Spader for the push that he got, I think was the closest I've ever gotten to walking into traffic. I was like, oh my God, nauseating. I used to like Tim Raines. Now he shouldn't be in the get out of the Hall of Fame.
Oh, rock. Don't hate Jay.
No, that's all I'm going to do.
Harold Baines.
Oh.
Well, I mean, do we really want to do that?
Wow.
Do we really want to do Harold Baines content? Because, I mean, the bottom fell out of the Hall of Fame when Harold Baines got in.
Is his career wins above replacement in the 40s?
No. Almost. It's like...
It doesn't matter. His contributions can't be measured. That's why he's a Hall of Famer.
What do you think about Jason Hayward's career? Or like a Starling Marte? Do they strike you as Hall of Famers?
They strike me as a couple guys that probably didn't contribute and haven't contributed the way that Harold did.
I mean, Jason Hayward gave one of the most important speeches of all time. I know WAR doesn't measure that shit, but
no.
I don't.
Harold gave a great speech too.
Harold Baines win a World Series. I don't remember that happening.
No,
what?
Maybe I said Harold gave a great speech too at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Harold. Talk about a guy who didn't lead in any categories. Harold Baines played for 75 years in the major leagues.
He led,
and never once.
Yes, he did.
He led in doubles. No, it's doubles once, isn't it?
No,
isn't that what it is?
And I know.
Hold on. We've done this before,
yes,
but it's
and
been
I know
years
it's fucking.
now.
Is it? It's. I think it's slugging. Yes, it's slugging.
It is. He led in slugging percentage in 1984, and that's the only fucking thing he ever led in 22 years and 11,000 plate appearances.
It's all right. We just talked about a Hall of Famer.
Once he got in, I was like, yeah, Fred McGriff, let's do this. Like, of course.
Oh, man. Yeah, the Crime Dog. That's a hard
Harold Baines.
Crime Dog's in.
It's going to be Rolen and Crime Dog.
What's that?
It's Rolen and Crime Dog. That's the class, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. What was the stat that Fred McGriff was talking about? He walked over 22 miles. The amount of walks he recorded over his career resulted in 22 miles or 22 and a half miles worth of walks over his career.
I could see that being a thing.
Fred, get your steps in, Crime Dog. What else you got for us?
Over the final 15 seasons of his career, Harold Baines averaged 1.5 wins above replacement per year. He played a decade and a half as like a guy who was limping around.
It's great.
Sorry.
You played a fucking eternity when you can phrase it the last 15 years of
the last 15 years of his career were just not very good.
Like there's the first 10 and then there's like a 5 to 7 year window in there where, he started dabbling in ayahuasca and some shit went south and then he came back. But the last 15, he finished strong.
Strong.
That's a fucking career. A career. The 80s, the 90s, the aughts. Fucking book it. That's incredible. That's incredible.
Shout out to Harold Baines.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer.
Won't be the last.
Hall of Famer.
Won't be the last time we hear about Harold on the pod.
Huh?
Won't be the last time we hear about Harold on the pod.
Probably not. If I were to guess. Red Sox made a trade.
Oh, they did. Who'd they go and get? Gerard? Who'd they go and get? You guys, you've transitioned from being interested in players to you're now looking like an organization that's interested in signing these players.
I don't know about that.
No? Jared, do you think John Henry has made the Red Sox a priority? Jared?
What a moment.
Do you think, just from an outsider's perspective, and I don't know why this question comes to me, but from an outsider's perspective, I feel like it's more than a fair question. But just initial thoughts, because I'm sure if you were in a room with you'd probably ask that question too, and I'd be willing to bet that you're not, if you were fed a quote unquote company line, like you're not standing for that. You're firing back. So what are your initial thoughts? Is this a move that says that John Henry has made the Red Sox a priority? No, it's not. This is just this is a Chaim Bloom, classic Chaim Bloom trade. You trade Josh Taylor, good kid, by the way. He
had a back injury, just never fucking came back.
Good
he
kid.
actually he went to he was
Got a good head on
one
his shoulders.
he was one scoreless appearance away from tying Koji Uehara's team record for most consecutive scoreless appearances a couple of years ago, and then they turned that into a shortstop that averages like 25 games a year. So.
So what's going on? You getting backlash for turning on the Red Sox brass like that? It sounded like you were really giving them shit up there.
What do you mean?
I like the clips I saw from the Red Sox weekend. Jared was going in hard.
Yeah,
You being a man of the people.
And you didn't say
I'm
half
not
the
sure
shit you said you were going to say.
Like what?
Oh, I don't want to repeat it here. I don't want to put you on blast.
I mean, I feel like I asked the two big questions that Red Sox fans wanted answers to.
Well, you told us you were going to ask when you're selling the team, but I don't get a clip of that.
I didn't say I was going to ask that question. However, I asked
To know what you said here.
with what happened with Xander. Like, what would you have done differently there? Kind of fucked that one up.
Did he say sign him?
Were
Were you listening?
No.
Oh, Jared, oh man.
What?
So, well, no, I mean, yeah, that's because you're probably trying to be professional about it. You ask the question and then you're moving on because you're probably not looking to get into any back and forth banter with them. You know, it's tee up a question, get the answer, move on to the next question.
No, it was very cool. Like, so I had an IFB in my ear, and I'm like, sure. I'm hearing from the fucking producer backstage.
Oh,
I'm
so you're
looking
being
at
fed questions.
No. I had my cards with me for my questions. I'm looking at TC across from me, like we're communicating via fucking looks and eyes, yeah. And then I get the producer in my ear to be like, all right, TC's got the next two. Then after that, it's you. And then like this question, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like I went there I was told, and I said this on Name Redacted, I was told no baseball questions are off limits. The only thing that was off limits was anything personal. And I was like, I don't care to know anything personal about these people's lives, nor does anyone sitting in this room. No one gives a fuck about any of that.
Hey, Johnny, you use a loofah? Huh? You a loofah guy? What are you?
Yeah. So I was told that no baseball question was off the table. So I asked about Xander, and I asked, you know, you've got this portfolio, you own a bunch of teams, and there's been rumors that you're interested in buying more teams. Are the Red Sox still a priority? And John Henry didn't even answer the question. Sam jumped in and answered the question.
Man, that was and Jared, I didn't want to.
John looked at his watch. He looked at his watch and then put his hands up as if to say, well, people interpreted that differently. Some people interpreted that as
they've always been a priority.
Get me the fuck out of here. Like, how much time do we have left in this thing? Like, what a fucked up question. Like, get me out of here. And then I really genuinely think that he was saying, like, how long have I been here for? 20 years. And you're asking me if this is still a priority. So, but I mean, if either way, you have a microphone in your hand, answer the question.
Well, that's where I took, I guess I could say I took issue with it. Because remember, once the A's are out of contention, I'm a Red Sox fan. So
is that true?
Well, I mean, we've talked about this. I've defended the Red Sox.
Gonna need a third team.
Jesus, Jay. Hey. Jesus.
What a dick. Oh, damn, but dude. that's I see that. That's exactly what I saw. As I saw the hands, I saw the gesture, and I thought to myself, no, this is a guy who his response is, what the fuck do you think we're doing here? Of course it's a priority. Of course I give a shit. That was what I took from his physical emote. But the fact that he didn't back it up with anything verbal from himself and kind of let somebody else take that, like, you could have very easily not left it open to interpretation. You could have very easily said something yourself, but you did not.
How hard would it have been to just say, yes, they're still a priority. I'm sitting here, aren't I? I mean, he hasn't done John Henry hasn't made a public appearance for the Red Sox, I believe, since the Mookie Betts trade. It's been since 2019 or 2020 since he's like publicly appeared. So
but
when I showed up,
was he a public facing guy in the beginning or before? Okay.
Yep. I showed up thinking I was doing that with Cora, Sam Kennedy, and Chaim Bloom. And maybe an hour or two before I went on stage, they were like, John Henry's joining the panel. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like,
I didn't
even
get nervous. Did you get nervous?
No. I mean, I just knew like things had just stepped up another level because this was his first public appearance in probably 3 years. And I knew that people had questions for him.
Did you lead with that? Hey, John, we haven't seen you since you traded Mookie away. How are things?
I led, my first question was the Xander question. That's what I led with. I said, they just called, like we just watched all the players come up to the stage. They called all their names, and one of the names that I didn't hear called was Xander Bogaerts. And like,
that's when he took a deep breath inside and was just like, fucking sign me up for this.
Yeah, I said, you guys called Xander the top priority of the offseason. He's not here. So, like, what went wrong? What would you have done differently? Things like that.
Good for you, bro.
Yeah.
Were they pissed off? Was anyone pissed off about that?
After? No. I mean, they wanted the hard questions. Like really? I don't think that they thought they were going to get booed as badly as they did, but I think that they anticipated some booing. I don't think that they thought it was going to get that contentious. And
well, you got to ask the questions. And if you know what your answer is going to be, then there's no harm in asking the question. Like if I've already got the answer cooked up, but then by all means, fire. Because much like how how I was giving you shit about asking a question and then not even caring about the answer, moving on to your next question, they've already got answers lined up. So they're waiting for your question. Let me fire off the non-answer answer, and then he'll ask another question.
Yeah, and but I've still got to ask the question, and that was part of the deal. I was like, I appreciate the opportunity and everything, but it's my reputation too, so I can't agree to go up there and be like, so, you signed Yoshida. What's the lineup shaking out to be? Like, I can't do that in front of a live fucking audience. And then they put it on Nesson on Monday night. I was like, I can't be a part of this if we're not asking real questions. And they were like, no, they want to answer the real questions. So we were all on the same page. That wasn't something where they were taken aback or I didn't catch them off guard. I think that they were probably prepared to talk about those things, but yeah, I mean, I came in hot. I led off with the Xander question, and my second question was like, is this team still a priority for you, John Henry? And then Sam Kennedy answered the question, but it is what it is. I mean, I had to ask, and I mean, credit to him for...
And Sam had to answer.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, gun to my head, does John Henry give a shit that they booed him? No. I mean, I think he's dealt with worse owning Liverpool. Like, those fans, like, Red Sox fans will boo you. Liverpool fans will kill you. So it's just, it's two different experiences for him. And I think, guy's fucking in his 70s. I don't think he's a billionaire. He's got bigger fish to fry at this point. But yeah, no, it was wild to be a part of that. But got to ask the questions.
Can I drop a Mondesí nug?
Please.
From 2018 to 22, he was 294th in times on base, but 4th in stolen bases.
Look at that.
So
he's going.
From a gimmick perspective, like if he can just stay upright, it's a fun watch as long as you don't care about like the other stuff like extra base hits and like getting on base a lot and
it's
things like that.
Is it? I mean, Terrence Gore.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's got more. I feel like Mondesí has more potential for like an everyday player role if he just like, because what he showed in 18-19 was that plays. That really does play with
absolutely.
He was 75 bases between those 2 seasons, and he only played 177 games. Like he's this could be the league leader in stolen bases with 100 games, 120 games played.
Now this is an example of a guy who, if you could get him, you have that conversation with him about what is going to make him good, right? And look, because there was a year, I don't want to say he hit 20, but I think he hit like 18 homers. And it was like,
he hit 14 in 2018 and only 291 plate appearances.
So there it is. And I remember seeing this unfold and thinking to myself, well, that's a fucking weapon right there. If this dude is going to fucking hit 280, 290, run into 15 to 20 of these a year and be able to play a premium defensive position, like this is going to be trouble. This is going to be trouble. And then that just wasn't ever going to be a thing again. The power not
I'm not trying to make too much of it.
Oh no,
I'm not trying to make too much of it. But I think there is something here where, like, in terms of a late like a late trade acquisition, a late guy onto your roster, like this is more interesting than a lot of things I've seen this offseason. And you only have to go back to 2020, like the COVID season, where he led baseball in stolen bases. He played 59 games and stole 24. He also he led in caught stealings, but you can iron that kind of stuff out. But
yeah, I just don't think like
interesting, I guess.
Yeah, my question is he going to be on base enough for what he does when he's on base to matter?
No, probably not. But if you can get it to click and get him to even like so in that 2018 season, he had a 306 on base percentage. That's the high water mark so far. I think if you can get him to 306,
like let me ask you that. Is that an acceptable OBP? 300?
I mean, it's not great, but for, presumably they're going to play him in the middle infield. He's maybe not going to be a guy who gets 650 plate appearances for you.
Because Jay, that's Omar Vizquel in year 36 of his career.
No, it's not good. It's not good. But we're talking about an imperfect team acquiring an imperfect player. And, if he can have a 306 on base percentage, he's going to almost fall backwards into like 50 or 60 steals. And that's interesting. It's exciting, maybe.
Oh, especially.
I don't know if it's good.
Especially with the bigger bags, right?
There you go.
Turbo bags. That's what they're doing. The extra 2 inches, putting a freaking booster in them. Like, what's it called? Give me a second. Mario Kart.
There you go. There you go. I knew it was in there. Dallas, you see me
springs.
You see me hitting those fucking moonshots off those 10-year-olds?
I mean, I didn't see where the
ball landed over the fence, but that's why I got that. So
Jay, I think it was foul. That's why I didn't see where that ball landed.
Jay, Win Reality was a sponsor of ours over the course of the season. It was the virtual reality hit train tool. You can face from big league talent right on down to 10 and under. And when I tell you I was socking homers off these 10-year-olds in Win Reality, just to prepare for facing 10-year-olds in real life. And at Red Sox winter weekend, got in the cage. They had this baseball field, turf all set up. Got in the cage and absolutely pummeled a fastball from a 10-year-old well beyond where the fence was set up. It went off the back wall. You can actually see, if you slow down the video, I pull the homer and then I flip the bat and I don't even watch it. And I put my head down. I look to my right as I'm going up the first baseline. And then 20 seconds later, the ball comes down from the ceiling. It was something to behold.
Oh my God. Welcome to the show, kid.
Yeah.
You know,
they had to learn. They had to learn the hard way.
Any bat flips? Did you get on the mound?
I'm so pleased for you. I'm so pleased that it worked out. Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, this is why we train. This is a free plug. I mean, they're not paying us for this, but I couldn't have done it without Win Reality.
It was such a good experience that,
Yeah, I did not get on the mound. They asked me to. I said no.
You don't want to get your shit turned around?
No, I didn't want to. I didn't want to, like, they didn't have any like waivers or anything. I was like, I only know one speed, and it's Gas Town, so I can't like have a 10-year-old get in there and then just like concuss some 10-year-old kid and then be held liable for that. That's just not, that's not legal trouble I'm trying to get in by. There's no helmets. There's no safety here.
Lessons learned.
Yeah. So
fuck them kids.
That's what I'm saying. I had a blast. I wish I got the ball back. I think it's disintegrated. I wish it was able to keep the ball, but next year.
Yeah. Well, maybe next year we'll keep it fair too. It'll count.
It was fair. We actually have video of it. So, but trades, free agency, roster cuts, baseball season feels so far away, but excitement is already building. Blue Moon gives you a dose of ballpark nostalgia without even being at the park. In fact, Blue Moon was born in a ballpark at the Sandlot Brewery in Denver, Colorado. Its bold flavor, bright explosion of color, and iconic orange slice ritual guarantees a one-of-a-kind beer experience year-round. Dallas, how many Blue Moons did you enjoy during that Dallas Cowboys game the other night?
Several to the point where I actually had to send a family friend back to the store to get more citrus because we ate all the oranges off our orange tree. Mm-hmm. Truth be told, that is no lie. That's been a side effect of the fucking Blue Moons.
Mm-hmm. I've been oranges,
hammering oranges to the point where we've gone through all of our fucking oranges on the orange tree.
Mm-hmm. Trust me, we've all been there. We've all been there.
Yeah.
From its refreshing flavor with Valencia orange peel for a subtle sweetness and hints of coriander.
Oh, cool.
Blue Moon Belgian style wheat ale is a one-of-a-kind beer that's made brighter. It's carefully crafted and full-flavored with refreshing notes and a smooth, creamy finish.
Oh.
Why strike out with the same old beer when you can get something that's one of a kind? Best served with a signature orange garnish to showcase its beautiful hazy color. A beer this good only comes around once in a blue moon, but you can enjoy it all off-season long. Make winter weather feel like spring training. Blue Moon Belgian style wheat ale is a one-of-a-kind every time. Get Blue Moon delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket to see your delivery options. That is get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket. Blue Moon, made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company Golden, Colorado Ale. What were you laughing at?
Just laughing at you.
I was just talking about Blue Moon. What was funny about that?
Well, you got to understand, Jay Hayes only been privy to the reads for a short period of time here, so
okay.
He's, the coriander still hits.
It still hits. Yeah, I went to the Sandlot Brewery in Denver, Colorado, and they gave me a whole tour. So I got to see the coriander up close. There's a whole tub of it.
Thought that was special.
Yep. It was a good time. Enjoyed it a lot.
Tub of coriander.
Mm-hmm. With 4-time World Series champion Mike Timlin. People forget that. Mike Timlin, the LeBron James of Major League Baseball.
Wow. Big boys. Yeah. Just a huge fucking chaw.
The Texas boy.
Is it time?
What, to talk about the Oakland A's mega deal?
I mean, if you wanted to hit on that, we could.
I feel like we wouldn't be doing our jobs if we didn't.
We could absolutely break that down. I mean, which way do you want to go with that?
The economic impact in the Oakland area of having Jesús Aguilar on the roster.
What do you?
It's like what it'll do for like the bar industry.
The bar industry, the service industry does very well during the Oakland A's baseball season.
Mm-hmm.
Does very well. After games, folks just pedal on down to Jack London.
Yep.
Sidle up next to a fan, next to a neighbor at Tiger's Tap Room. No free ads.
Yep.
It's a great place to catch a ball game or to catch your friends and family after a ball game, Jared.
Well, you're on the inside, Dallas. What have you heard about season ticket sales?
What do you want to know about season ticket sales?
Just, percentage, like, do they have any data points, percentages of the increase in season ticket packages going up after the Jesús Aguilar signing?
Well, I can tell you this, Jared, and I can say this unequivocally.
Okay.
There have been since the signing of Jesús Aguilar, there have been tickets sold to the A's baseball games, and that's a fucking fact.
Yep.
Fact. So I know where you're going with this, but I mean,
what do you mean? Where am I going? I'm just asking.
Well, I'm just telling you.
I wasn't going anywhere with it.
Those are cold hard facts.
I believe you.
So we locked down Aggie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some veteran leadership over at first base
too.
What's that?
No, I mean, you locked him down. It was what a courtship that was. Yeah.
Well,
worth every minute.
Sometimes there's no need to pussyfoot around, right? Some folks are more than willing to strap on their trunks and just jump headlong into the deep end. You don't have to dabble the pinky toe in the water and test things out. No, if it feels good, then let's make it good. And that's what both sides did. It was a very, very easy deal to come together. And as I mentioned, this now frees up. Maybe Seth Brown gets a little more regular time out in the outfield, doesn't have to worry about coming over to first base. Maybe this allows Brownie to spend some of those days where knees are a little banged up in the outfield. Maybe he can come and hang out over at first base. You slide Aggie into the DH role. You don't have to put the DH pressure on one of these younger guys trying to. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, Jared, that this deal makes sense for the Oakland A.
Tons. There's a lot of moving pieces there.
Mm-hmm. Quick trivia. There were 8 players who qualified for the batting title last year who finished below replacement level. Anybody want to guess one of those names?
Is it Jesús Aguilar?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
He was one of the 8. He was one of the 8. So
how you bounce back? How you?
He's a great guy.
Ready for the Jack London portion of his career.
Yeah. Did the Oakland A's have you make recruitment phone calls for these signings like these?
You guys just don't know a comeback player of the year when you see one. That's your problem.
Yeah, they obviously haven't read Moneyball. It's buy low, bro.
Yeah.
Let them know, Joe.
Buy them low.
Let them know.
Sell them high.
Joey did a fucking entire video on this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Joey's new video came out. Congratulations to me. I made my Baseball Doesn't Exist YouTube debut. Had my name even set on it. I had a whole video clip put in there. It's a dream come true. It's been a big calendar year for me. I made my WWE debut in the last calendar year. In the last calendar year, you fuck. I appeared on SummerSlam, and Baseball Doesn't Exist in the same calendar year.
That's what they're saying, man. Getting a video about you on Baseball Doesn't Exist is the new Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily about me, but I was in it, which was
you got to mention. You got the Dallas Braden treatment where you got a card. You're not in the hall, but you're in the hall. You know?
I'm in the hall, bud. I'm in the hall.
I had
you're in
an
the hall,
exhibit.
but you're not on the hall. You got an exhibit.
Yeah, you have an exhibit.
That's right.
No, I have
space just for your boy.
Yeah. What's the next video, Joe?
Well, that's just the whole fun is that you don't tell and they have to guess.
Most people do guess, though, if we're being honest.
Yeah, someone fucking sniped this one. Shout out to whoever that was on the Reddit. Sniped it.
Your poker face.
No, Dallas. This was a snipe.
That's why
this was a fucking snipe. There was nothing that gave it away. I tweeted one tweet.
That's why Joey's going dark now on the video, so you can't pick up his tells.
Dude. I'm telling you, this is what I tweeted out. One, I asked, like, who has game footage as a joke? Because I knew no one had it. Like, who has the game footage from the Cardinals versus Blue Jays, April 13th, 2004? First inning is all I need. That's what I tweeted, right? And some fucker looked it up and was like, oh, yeah, there was like a weird rule change. They didn't make the video, but they sniped it, dude. Good for them.
Yeah.
All over you.
So I can't say the next video, but it's coming out soon. It'll be a quick turnaround. I will say that.
Did you watch the video, Dallas?
No, haven't watched it yet.
No, he wouldn't watch. He's a
good because
hater.
There was gonna be a comment that Dallas would have made.
I watch it. I get around to him. I don't have.
I'll just make it so that Dallas can't make it. All right, Carrabis, you see Joey's video that in Major League Baseball they made a rule that no dwarfs are allowed to play baseball. Is that why you didn't play past high school, kid? No dwarfs allowed in baseball, kid?
What? Where is this coming from?
I'm just getting out in front of it.
Oh, the level of PTSD you exhibit on a daily basis.
I mean, you act like you. My last video that I posted of me hitting the home run against the 10-year-olds, Dallas commented on it and said, "I lost you when you were rounding second base amongst the children," which just isn't true. Well, I'm twice as tall as them. I'm twice as tall as them.
I had to watch it again. I was like, did he just fucking Houdini his way? Like,
no,
because I saw like he was going into
a
trot.
Video.
I wanted to see how good the trot was going to be.
No, I'm twice as tall.
Might have been a second grade bully. I think is where I lost you. You cut right in front of him and then fucking gone.
No, I'm twice as tall as those kids, for the record.
And you were in the foreground, so you looked even bigger. Which
nope, I was right next to him. Nope. But it's a very interesting video about the rules of baseball. Dwarves are not allowed to play baseball because it's an unfair advantage. The only dwarf that ever got an at bat walked on 4 pitches because their strike zone is obviously very small.
That's right. That was a gimmick.
Yeah. But he was on the team. He had like a contract. He was on the team.
Yep. Yeah. Signed him that day.
Yep. So you can say it's a fair advantage or an unfair advantage. All right. Before we get into the Pittsburgh Pirates Mount Rushmore, obviously we don't want to duck the Mike Clevenger thing.
Yeah. Not
good.
No, not a great look at all. Obviously this is, as we have learned over the years, there's sides to the story, right? And they typically slowly come out over time, and you can have a knee-jerk reaction. I think everybody does when you read words. Anytime you read domestic violence, anytime I read anything regarding children, I start to take a certain stance, right? And I think that's natural. And Jared, we have spent time with Clev over the years, a lot of time. So you get to know a guy, and you think you know people, but it's just a reminder that you just don't know what folks are up to behind closed doors. You don't know how things are going. Track record starting to reflect that, maybe this is an issue. But again, how we got here and what transpired to get to this point, and I'm sure there's details that not everybody's privy to, but on the surface, not a great look whatsoever. Not good.
Yeah, the details were very bad. Yeah. So, I mean, the girl posted stuff on Instagram, and there was a whole report about it. Like Dallas said, I mean, it's, there's 2 sides to every story. I'm assuming that the investigation will get Clev's side, but ultimately, I don't see how he avoids a suspension here.
Yeah, no, yeah, suspension forthcoming. And remember the White Sox, because we talk a lot about the Aroldis Chapman incident and just understanding what type of human being was coming your way and you being aware of that. Well, the White Sox weren't made aware that this had happened, or this happened after the fact, right?
I think they
or no, it happened, but they were not made aware of it.
Something like that, where I think it had happened prior to the signing, but yes. I don't think the investigation had happened yet, or they weren't aware of the investigation.
Correct.
Whether it happened before or after the signing. But yeah, shitty story. We'll stay on top of that. I mean, I would imagine that there's no way that a suspension is avoided. So yeah, tough one.
Yep.
Pittsburgh Pirates, Mount Rushmore.
Come here.
Yeah.
Come here.
Oh man, this is
what we're all here for. This is what we're here for.
Mm-hmm. Been waiting a long ass time for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Mount Rushmore, a continuation. We can say the name now because it no longer exists. It's kind of it's out in the open now. No one really owns it anymore. It's a continuation from the Starting Nine podcast.
What happened? What happened to that?
It's not a thing anymore.
Bag fumbled.
Yeah. So yeah, we used to do this on the Starting Nine podcast with Dallas, Jay Hay, and we would how many did we say how many we did? 19? 12.
Yeah, I think it was
12.
17.
17.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
We've done 17. So we're just picking up where we left off. Like if you weren't with us in the Starting Nine days, I believe that those podcasts are still out there. You can go back and find those. Maybe we'll do it again. You know what I do want to bring back though? What? In addition to the Mount Rushmores?
What?
The drafts.
Oh, yeah.
We got to bring back the drafts. We've gone from 3 people to now 5 people if you count Jake.
Sure.
We can absolutely have some pretty electric drafts with this panel.
And as the leader of the most drafts won, what are you two?
I don't even know if that's true. We need to go back and find that information.
That's a fact.
It's not true.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know if that's true.
It's true.
It's true. Joey did the research. You know, Joe knows. Come on. He knows. But anyway, I think we did a very good job of not just all willy-nilly like drafting random shit, but, you know, an impromptu draft here. Having a quality draft subject matter is important.
Yeah. What did we do? We did 25 and under. Was it 25 and under?
Yeah. Joe, how about this?
Don't forget too, like it's like several years since we last did those, and the landscape of who's the most valuable in the game has changed. Like it would be a completely different thing now.
Yeah, very true.
Even if you ran back the same parameters.
Yeah, Joey, I was ridiculed for drafting Shane Bieber first overall in my draft of players. What, 22 or under?
Or wait, the Cy Young winner,
25
Cy Young winner,
under,
Shane Bieber.
Yeah. Well, that's what he did, Joe. I drafted him, and then he went on to win the Cy Young. So
Mickey Mouse season though.
It was pretty cool.
So they gave you crap for that.
Yeah. No, I was laughed at, and then they had the audacity to call him while the draft was going on, and I had already selected him first overall, and then they called to talk shit to me because I drafted him first overall, and he was like, "Hey man, thanks for the vote of confidence." And then boom. I mean, I essentially when you rewind it and you think about this, I've basically voodoo dolled Shane Bieber's career. I mean, we won him the fucking All-Star Game MVP, did we not?
Mm-hmm.
I laid out the outing. I said this is what's going to happen, and then it fucking happened. That happened. And now this, like, drafted him first overall, boom, Cy Young. It's just like the power of positive thinking, man.
It's the Ace connection, bro. It's Moneyball. It's in your blood.
You want to be in my crosshairs when it comes to the draft. You want to be on my draft board. You need to be on my draft board. Just
Jay, hey, how much did you miss Dallas sucking his own dick over the same 4 things? There's over the course of the 7 seasons that we've done this podcast, Dallas will suck his own dick over the same 4 things whenever they come up, and it'll just be a monologue. Like we'll hear about we'll hear about the fucking 2019 25 and under draft until 2036. That's when he'll finally forget that it happened.
And I'll pick fucking Bieber's kid in that draft.
That's why it was so refreshing when I came back last podcast that we started it off with Dallas telling us about his fantasy camp.
Yeah. We'll hear about that
good.
one.
It's like I never left. This is perfect.
Yeah, A's content, baby. A's content.
Yeah, he'll never win the A's fantasy camp championship again, but we'll always hear about that spring of 2023. You should have seen that A's fantasy camp rotation in the spring of 2023.
I mean, I've won the fucking thing 4 out of 6 years that I've been there. I'm a fucking. I'm like Connie Mack is asking for my autograph.
Mm-hmm.
He's dead, isn't he? That's what I thought. If they were
anyways,
still dragging his ass,
the Pittsburgh
camp,
Pirates,
bad for him.
Mount Rushmore. You've waited roughly 2.5 years for the resumption of this segment. It's finally here. We bring it back with Dallas Braden's Pittsburgh Pirates. I would say we can all agree on the first three. I don't think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, any combination of Roberto Clemente, Honus Wagner, and Willie Stargell.
Pops.
I don't. Does anyone have anyone outside of those three?
No. Speak now, forever hold your peace. I think Jay Hay is frozen, but Jay Hay is smart, and Jay Hay would not vote against any one of those three. So I will comfortably speak for Jay Hay and say that he doesn't have anything to say about those three. Joey, anything to say about those three?
Those three solid ball players. They made my list.
Yeah,
if there's a debate to be had, not that it's important, the order, but would you go Wagner, Clemente, or Clemente Wagner?
I might go Clemente Wagner. I would probably go too. Clemente Wagner.
Yeah,
like Clemente.
I think Pirates fans might disagree with you though.
I don't. I truly believe that Pirates fans would.
When I think Pirates, I think Clemente. I just do.
Yeah, well, yeah. Honus Wagner played in the 1800s, bro. 1700s, Revolutionary War era.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of people may not even know he was on the Pirates.
No, a lot of people. That's why I said.
Well, how many people saw Clemente play now at this point?
Well,
yeah, but that's color. It was in color.
It was
color TVs.
Yeah, Honus and a lot of the hype around Honus Wagner. A lot of the reason that a lot of people know him today is because of the baseball card.
That's true.
And it doesn't have much to do with him playing at all. They just know that his card, that T206, is one of the most expensive cards, the most high-selling cards in history of sports memorabilia. So, but yeah, it would be Roberto Clemente number one, and then Honus and Pops. No particular order, but we all felt like the three that's a slam dunk. That's a no-brainer. But from there is where things, I guess get a little more conversational. I guess.
Dallas, this is you. Where are you going here?
Well, I mean, Maz.
For a moment?
I mean, tough not to.
I mean,
at least he had a moment.
He had a moment.
This is because, look, you can go
Did
there.
The others?
You can go there, or because what's going to be what? Dave Parker? Barry Bonds? Andrew McCutchen?
Like, that's why it's an interesting conversation. That fourth spot is
there recency bias? Like, is the recency bias with Kutch enough? Is that why Kutch is a bigger figure in this conversation? Because we know him, we love him from his time in Pittsburgh, and now he's come back, and we know that it's going to be the swan song, so to speak. Like, we all see the writing on the wall here.
I think it's undoubtedly Kutch if he never left. And I'm not saying that that's his doing. I remember writing about it in like 2015 or 16 where he said publicly, I want to retire here. I never want to leave. And then they were like, that's nice. And that was it. But I think it's obviously he does. If he stays there the entire time, he never wins a championship. But it's one of those Pittsburgh lifer things where he becomes like the Carl Yastrzemski of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Just like most games played and like, never won a championship, but, got to the playoffs a couple times, won an MVP, but just a career compiler guy.
Yeah. And think about Barry. I think
a couple MVPs there.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody initially would say, well, he's going to go on to the San Francisco Giants Mount Rushmore. And yeah, you're right. He is. But that doesn't mean that he can't be on this Mount Rushmore either because the production is there.
Well,
he's got a couple MVPs, Gold Glove, 3 of them things, 2-time All-Star.
I think I put Randy Johnson on 2 Mount Rushmores. I have him on Seattle and Arizona.
On the Seattle and Diamondbacks, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, those two players right there between McCutchen.
Do you
and Barry.
take points away from Barry for being a problem in the clubhouse, being a distraction, getting in trouble?
Look,
off
it was one rough morning before the fucking workout with Jim Leland. That's all.
Wait. So can you guys reiterate who you have?
So Jay, I went ahead and spoke for you and said that Honus Wagner, Roberto Clemente, and Pops are all 3. Just book it. They're going.
For sure.
We all 3.
Okay.
We all thought that. I took the liberty of speaking for you. And we are on that 4th slot as we sit right now. Okay. I have made an argument for Barry Bonds in the face of being brought up.
Character clause.
Yeah. Willie Maz. So, or excuse me, Kutch, not Bill Maz, but Kutch. And I said Barry Bonds with the production probably equal or surpass that of Andrew McCutchen during his time in Pittsburgh. But Jared's argument was maybe it's a guaranteed Kutch if his entire career is spent in Pittsburgh, but that wasn't the case.
I also do think that I know the Randy Johnson thing where he was with Seattle and with Arizona, but to me, Andrew, part of the Mount Rushmore exercise is baseball cultural relevance. Uh-huh. And I do believe that having some representation of the most fruitful Pirates period in the last 30 years of baseball does matter. And I think the fact that Barry is singularly, yes, he played for the Pirates. He won multiple MVPs with the Pirates. He was one of the best players in baseball with the Pirates. He went on to change the nature of baseball with the San Francisco Giants. And yes, Barry was a better player than McCutchen really ever was with Pittsburgh, but Andrew McCutchen's the most important Pirates player of the last 30 years. It's the only stretch of relevant baseball that they've had post Bonds. And to me, I think McCutchen needs to be on here. I think he's the 4th guy.
That is not a good enough reason, in my opinion, to not have a guy like Barry Bonds on there. And I'll say it because the argument for Barry, which we have all made, is what? He was a Hall of Famer in Pittsburgh before he ever had that cloud of suspicion start to loom over his head. That's what we all say. That's what we all know. That's what we all believe. That's what the numbers tell us.
For sure.
Is that he was there long before any of that other shit happened. So to your point about the cultural relevance, that's the tipping point that leans in the favor of Andrew McCutchen. And in my opinion, that would be all that tips in the favor of Andrew McCutchen when it comes to Barry or him.
I know I'm the stats guy or whatever, but I do think this isn't the 4 most productive players by wins above replacement. No. So the fact that like Barry was a better player than Andrew McCutchen with Pittsburgh is not to me, doesn't end the conversation for who should be on there. Like if we were just doing that, like Paul Wainer,
right,
would probably be the fourth guy, or Archie Vaughn, or some guy who played in the 20s and 30s. And it's like, okay, we could do it that way.
But
to me, like having representations of the relevant periods of the franchise matters. So you have like Wagner from way back when nobody who's alive now watched baseball. You have Roberto Clemente, and Willie Stargell, who I think are the two most important players in franchise history, regardless of era.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you have McCutchen. I appreciate that Bonds is a better player, but I think
that's where like I threw Dave Parker's name in the hat too.
Some modernity on the Mount Rushmore matters.
Sure. Well, that's kind of where we've gone with these for the most part. Is we want to see representation from way back when, because I forget who I was fucking standing for, a guy from like the 1800s. Who was it? Not Hoyt Wilhelm. I forget who I was fucking. I don't know, but anyway,
Stuffy McGinnis.
It's the same. It's the same fucking. Oh, well, I think it was Walter Johnson, maybe. Like I was talking about, the big train.
That was when we were doing the Nats.
Yeah, because he was a fucking senator and not a fucking gnat. And I said, well, you got to start somewhere.
Different team, asshole.
No, same fucking squad. See, you knew exactly what the fuck I was talking about. But I threw Dave Parker's name in the ring too, Jay, kind of for the same reason. Yeah. But he's a part of that 70s, when the boys are bopping. So that would be three people representing that same era.
Yeah, and there were some years where he was better than Stargell, but Stargell is the heart and soul of that team, and he's also the only player in baseball history to win MVP, LCS MVP, and World Series MVP in the same season. So
it's fucking Pops, babe. Let's go.
I could be talking. I know he won a World Series. Was he World Series MVP? Clemente was World Series MVP.
Yeah, no, Stargell did all of those things in the same year,
season,
1979.
Yeah.
He was the NL MVP in 78, World Series winner in 79.
Who, Stargell?
No, Dave Parker.
The other way around. Oh, yeah,
Dave Parker.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I was talking Stargell. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But think about that. Think about that, though, right? Dave Parker, MVP in 78. Stargell, MVP in 79. Dave Parker wins the series, 79, obviously. But, to have both those, what a fucking moment.
Can we take a step back, though? Because, I know we used to give Dallas a hard time about the Pirates and, the trades that they made and the Rays deals and all that sort of stuff, and how, they're barely an MLB franchise, and, should they be contracted? And,
all right,
will they ever make playoffs again? And, all this sort of stuff. But when you step back and look at the list of viable candidates for the Pittsburgh Pirates franchise Mount Rushmore, what stands out to me is the complete lack of candidates from the last 40 years of Pirates baseball. It's two people, and it's McCutchen and Bonds, and one of those dudes has a very complicated relationship with that city, and everybody else is somebody who's either from the 70s or from black and white baseball.
Jay,
and
think about the guys on the mound.
It's stark. There's two candidates. The pitching in Pittsburgh Pirates history is laughably bad.
The 20s is the last time we've had anybody on the mound that.
Garrett Cole, bro.
Fuck.
Could have been. Maybe could have been.
That's
got a lot of old candidates, though. The list has more quality candidates than I would have guessed. It's just none of them have happened in our lifetime, basically.
That's why I threw out my man Steve Blass's name.
So are we all in agreement? Is it McCutchen or is it Bonds? Are we split on this?
I feel like I'm leaning more Dave Parker.
That's what I'm thinking.
Wow.
Because if you go the years played, even with Kutch coming back this year, it's the years played is a wash. Parker's got a ring. He's got an MVP, which checks off the Kutch MVP. 5-time All-Star, 4-time All-Star, 2-time batting champion for Parker, 3-time Gold Glove Award winner, all with the Pirates for Parker. If you go Kutch, Parker is pretty much the same, if not a tad better, and he has the ring.
The ring. I think that's totally fair. I think Dave Parker is a completely viable candidate. I just think like when you are completely on an island as the only truly relevant player in your franchise for 3 decades, I think that matters for this exercise. And Dave Parker was an equal player to Andrew McCutchen statistically. But, you know, if you want multiple players from like the best run in Pirates history, I totally get that. I think that's another way to do Rushmore. I just think McCutchen deserves to be recognized. Yeah.
Joe, your final 4. The big 3 and who?
I like Archie Vaughn. I think he's got a sick name. Joseph Floyd Vaughn. I feel like
are you named after Ark? You and Ark?
And then maybe, bro. Barry, honestly, dude, he wasn't beloved in Pittsburgh. I love Barry. He's not a Pirate to me. They didn't cherish him, and there was off the field drama, and they never won anything. So to me, it comes down to Dave Parker and Kutch.
What about Paul Wainer? I know that it's
never
like,
heard of him. Don't get.
I know, but like Hall of Famer, MVP, 3 batting titles, played from 1926 to 1940. Like he should at least be met. He's not my pick, but he should be mentioned.
Like, we got to give him a shout out. We also got to mention Dallas Braden too, because he's been riding with the Pirates. I thought about putting Dallas on here.
I did too,
because if we're talking about eras, we're talking the past 5 years. He's been the face of the Pirates.
I agree with that.
So
0.0 wins above replacement. Dallas has contributed to the Pirates. That's like meaningful. On their roster, I think
to break even at 0 WAR is probably it's got to be in the top 15 in the franchise in the last 10 years.
They haven't lost because of me. All right.
Yeah.
7 players have had their numbers. Players, not managers, have had their numbers retired by the Pirates in franchise history. It's Wagner, Clemente, Pie Trainer, another good name. Shout out. Paul Wainer, Mazeroski, Stargell, and Ralph Kiner. Ralph Kiner is another interesting one where he doesn't probably have a strong case here, but like the guy averaged 41 homers a season for his first 8 years.
Yeah.
Like he was electric. A lot of good candidates, honestly.
Bill Mazeroski, one of the worst Hall of Famers to ever get in.
Yeah. Iconic moment though. A lot like Dallas Braden, actually.
There you go.
Wagner was the best player by wins above replacement on the Pirates for 11 straight seasons. That's so impressive. Just like the fucking best player in your team for over a decade. Uninterrupted. There was like no pop-up season where anybody else was better than you. That's wild.
It's dominant.
7th in career WAR among position players per reference. 7th.
I'm just looking at the player, baseball reference with all the pictures. There's some good guys in here, man. It's good characters.
It's a solid mountain.
Mazeroski's just got a big ass lip in or
huge,
jaw.
Huge jaw.
And the guy next to him looks like Drew Brees, Tommy Leach. You got to put him in there. And then Dave Parker. And if you expand that picture, Dave Parker's baseball reference, you can see he's got a black eye in one of them. And that's dope. And that's why I'm picking Dave Parker.
Yeah, welcome.
He played with a mask on, a hockey mask, which was sick. And just, I wasn't alive there, but that era of the Pittsburgh Pirates, watching the old footage and going into like where they were like, we are family era. That was like a lit ass team. And, like he was bopping. They were smoking cigarettes and stuff. They were
having a great time. Dave Parker was going to be my selection for the 4th slot, but Joey, you have given him sufficient love, so I feel like he's gotten all the credit. And there will be a moment in time that I'll never forget, and it's around growing the game. And you want people on your Mount Rushmore to the productivity is typically going to speak for itself. And Jehei, you used a phrase, per this exercise. I like that. So I think that we'd be doing Andrew McCutchen a disservice, not having him or me not having him on my Mount Rushmore because of the moment where he gave those boys his batting gloves and they fucking lost their shit. Just lost it. Coach, we love you. Fucking started crying. And yeah, like,
I remember that.
Like that. I'll never forget that, man.
I'll never
forget that. You could see the game growing right before your very eyes. Like you just watch these two fall in love with this game of baseball on another level. And I love that. I love guys who get it. And Kutch, great follow on social media. He was great during COVID. He's an awesome dude, tremendous personality, magnificent in the clubhouse. Like just a great representation. And to your point about not having anybody be relevant in the organization for a Mount Rushmore candidacy over the last 30 fucking years, that's a good place to start.
Love it.
What was Jay Hayes' pick?
I'm Kutch.
He's
too.
Kutch too.
Couple Kutch, couple
So it's
Parkers.
2 Kutch, 2 Parkers.
Okay.
Yeah, because Barry's a giant. Forever giant.
Yeah, Barry's a giant. And it's crazy to win 2 MVPs with one team and be known for another.
It'd be clear cut, like not even a like Barry Bonds Hall of Fame as a giant. Yes.
Yeah.
If they would have won a World Series, I would have put him on.
Yeah.
What about Lil Stoner? Do you know Lil Stoner?
What?
Yeah.
Lil Stoner. You ever look up him?
Back in the day.
He actually played. Yeah, he played for the Pirates. 1.7 WAR. Played for the Pirates. Cut off his brother cut off his finger when he was 3 because he asked him to. So but they repaired it. So they put his finger back, but it was a little bent. So that's how he had good movement on his curve. So,
yeah. Well, that's and that's why they call it a bender. That's where they the term throwing a bender comes from because his finger was bent. Throwing a bender.
Yeah. So you want to mention Lil Stoner when you're talking Pirates. Just throw it in there. Not Matt Rushmore, but definitely an important figure in the game.
Honorable mention. Portside mention.
5 2/3 career innings pitched for Lil Stoner with the Pirates.
The Lil Stoney.
Falls just shy of the Rushmore.
Just shy.
L Stones.
Honorable mention, Pokey Reese.
Honorable mention, Jason Kendall. One of the most gruesome injuries I've ever seen.
Oh, man.
Honorable mention.
Was that with the Pirates or with the A's?
That was with the Pirates. He did that with the Pirates.
Yeah, that's
Nate
right.
McClouth.
Nate McClouth.
That's a Pirate.
Jason Bay.
Pirate. That's a good one.
Jason Bay.
Oh.
Straight up hit 0 homers in the home run derby the year that they did the countries. Remember?
Yes.
He represented Canada, hit 0 home runs in the home run derby. That's a tough night at the office.
Shout out Bob Walk. I used to collect Bob Walk baseball cards because I thought that fucking name, I was just like, man, this guy, like I knew when I was like 7 that Bob Walk was getting fucking worn out in the clubhouse for that name. I just knew it. 7-year-old me was like, dude, this guy's got to have fucking tough skin because I know he's getting bagged on for that last name. I just know it.
Remember when 2011 when the Pirates were like finally fucking relevant and it was like good times, good feelings, and they went out and supplemented that contender with Lyle fucking Overbay. Lyle Overbay was the big trade deadline acquisition. Just took a big dump over it for the Pirates.
Shout out to who is it? Shout out to Big Andy in Toronto. Toronto. They had this super fan, and every time Lyle Overbay would come out, like this fan would get there and Lyle would come in to fucking take BP and he would just scream at the top of his lungs. Hi, Lyle Overbay! And just like the whole scene, like it was this individual was a treat, a real treat. But
Pedro Alvarez?
Yeah. Pedro Alvarez. Oh my God. I I don't know what year it was. It was actually Pedro Alvarez. It was his rookie year, I believe. And I remember they came into town and Pedro Alvarez is in the outfield throwing his bat from left field to like center field. Like swinging, but full on just fucking throwing his bat. And it was the first time I had seen this at the big league level. Because sometimes when hitters are struggling, what they'll have you do is just take a full swing and let the bat go. So you get a feel for throwing the barrel, right? Just trying to regain a feel for the barrel, throwing your hands, trusting your hands. So you'll get out there on the line and you just fucking take a hack and throw that bitch. And then walk over to it, pick it up, do it again, throw it. But it's not something that you typically see done at the big league level. And I remember walking out one day and seeing Pedro throwing his bat. And then I went in and like looked at the numbers and was like, yeah, I get it. I for sure get it. Because he was struggling at the time. Struggling.
Yeah.
It was either 2010 or 2011. But
I feel like that's one of those things you probably try to do in the batting cage, not on the field.
No, you do it on the field because you need all this space to just fucking let it go because you're trying to, if you end up holding on too long or letting go too early, like, the bat flight is going to tell you that.
It just feels like a way to just blow off steam. Like, I fucking suck, dude. Fuck.
Shout out Andy Van Slyke.
Adam LaRoche.
Drake LaRoche, for that matter.
Andy LaRoche.
I'll one up you.
Let's do a LaRoche from Mount Rushmore.
Then they get kicked out. They got kicked out of the
Drake
clubhouse.
LaRoche is not even making my LaRoche Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, Drake was
Forget that
fancy, dude.
Yeah,
he
that was.
He was the Yoko Ono of
I'm
the Chicago White
embarrassed. That was
Sox.
the story.
For real. What a spoiled brat, dog.
Seriously. I'm gonna retire because my kid can't be in the clubhouse. Okay, peace.
So yeah,
You're bad. Tom Gorzolani.
Tom Gorzolani. Did what? No.
was Ben Gamble on the Pirates?
Yes, Ben Gamble was definitely on the Pirates. Right. Why do I want to say no? He wasn't.
The original Oliver Perez.
I was gonna say it has to be one of Octavio Dotel's fucking 2018.
Zach Duke.
Yeah, Zach Duke. Who? My God. See, this
we can move on at any time. I'm just gonna keep doing this.
No, it's so. But I'm trying to think like pitchers. Because we were just
Chris and Anna Benson.
Remember
that?
Oh my
Chris
God.
Jeez.
Fuck. What a nightmare.
Oh, I would like to apologize. One second, please. I'd like to apologize for saying that Andrew McCutchen is the only truly relevant Pirate player of the last 30 years. While he does not belong in a Mount Rushmore conversation, Brian Giles was a badass motherfucker and should not be lumped in with all of these other nothings that have existed on the Pirates. Brian Giles was legitimately awesome. It just all happened to occur while the Pirates were just absolutely dreadful.
Yeah.
Who else? A badass motherfucker? Nigel Morgan.
Yeah.
Tony Plush.
Yeah. T Plush.
Yeah.
T Plush.
Legend.
Yeah.
The
Pirates always the Pirates always get the raw deal because they, like Garrett Cole, Barry Bonds, they always get guys before they start cheating.
Or they trade them away before they get as good as they're going to get, like Aramis Ramirez. They had Aramis. He was pretty good for a while.
The Pirates had some like sneaky all-time great players come through.
Well, yeah, we just named quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't suck until, I don't know, kind of recently.
Doug Drabeck. Right? Doug Drabeck.
Drabeck.
Tyler Glasnow.
Draco. Tyone. Go.
Yeah, Jameson Tyon.
Beast.
Yeah, I mean, the great
Jason Remember when they had Jason Schmidt before he was good too?
Oh, sure did. Then Jason Schmidt came over to San Fran.
Yep, got good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so the Pirates have they've seen some downtime between their successful years.
Russell Martin?
So much time, like lifetimes.
Couple of lifetimes.
Remember when Mike Williams made the All-Star team for them in a year where he would go on to post a 6.14 ERA? That was 2003.
What about Ryan Domit, who had like was that the Pirates? So he had like a 120 OPS plus, worst WAR in baseball by far.
Let's pull it up.
Worst player in baseball had a 120 OPS plus, according to WAR. This is the stat we all talk about all the time. We love it.
Like all these guys, all the fucking pitchers for the Pirates were like the 50s, the 70s. Yeah. Whatever.
Well,
so you miss your window.
Tough break.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
No.
Who's the Mount Rushmore for next week, Jay?
It's a great question.
Ooh. Dun, dun, dun.
Anybody have any preferences?
Have we done the Cardinals?
Yes.
Let me pull it up.
I don't know if we
I
have.
believe we did, yeah. Hold on one second.
I feel like I would have remembered doing that.
You're gonna spend half an hour fucking.
All right. The Cardinals were literally the first one that we did on episode 240 of the former podcast.
Oh.
We could do, let's see. So we've been trying to rotate AL, NL generally. So we just went NL. How about
the Rays?
Yep, we have not done the Rays. Oh no, we have. We did 260.
What the fuck? Why don't I remember any of this shit?
Fred McGriff was on my squad.
How about the Angels?
Okay.
Ooh.
In honor of Artie not selling.
I mean, is Shohei Ohtani on there? Just he kind of. We'll talk about it next week. All right, next week we'll break down the news and notes in the baseball world, followed by the Los Angeles, Anaheim, California Angels Mount Rushmore. Wow. Stay tuned for that. Anyone else have final thoughts? Jay, hey, Joey?
Peace and
Still
love.
Nice to be back.
Peace and love.
Peace and love and peace and health.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Wow.